years, we'll get them a response, and we'll be following up on that. Now, before we go, the Journalists International Forum for Migration will be organizing a GFORM Necotech Ghana Media Summit on migration scheduled for January 21 and 22, 2021 here in Accra. It seeks to discuss and address the state of African migrants, especially in the Middle East, a myriad of other migration issues confronting Africans on the continent. Advisory Committee on Labour and Migration, Dr. Princess A.K. Okansi joins me on Zoom for a conversation on this. Dr. Princess Okansi has been a migration advocate for over 30 years. He's also won many awards. He's also a member of the African Union Labour Migration Advisory Committee and the Chief Executive Officer of Necotech Center for Excellence. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon. Do tell us what more to expect.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. We're looking forward to the GFORM Necotech Summit on the 21st and 22nd here in Accra. Of course, Accra being the secretariat for the AFTAC, the African Continental Free Trade Area. We're looking at migration, trade, and investment. We believe that some of the push factors for our youth going to a place like the Middle East has been because of the lack of opportunities. And we think Accra is really the right place to have this summit because Accra happens to be the center now for the new trade, the African Continental Trade, Free Trade Area that's coming. We're now the largest free trade area, 1.2 billion people with 3 trillion combined GDP. This has to mean something that will hopefully create decent jobs for African youth to be able to stay at home versus having been pushed to go overseas to work.
So is this something that's open to everybody? Can anybody just walk in? How do people participate?
They can register. We have a registration link, which we'll be sharing with you, and they can come on and be a part of it. You know, migration really is everybody's problem. We are looking to target our opinion leaders, the people who are in charge of migration. We're working with international communities such as the IOM, ILO, and also our ministries for labor. We have participation from the continent. We have the ministers of labor. We have the Minister of Labor of Sierra Leone is going to be participating, and other participants from Canada, US, and on the continent. And of course, the African Union Labour Migration Advisory Committee will also be participating.
I mean, the ILO recently, I think, published some report on their website that says about 6,000 people die as a result of, treading the dangerous route of entering Europe or elsewhere where they think the grass is greener. To what extent? And over the years, we've done, have had some of these engagements trying to stop our youth from taking that journey. To what extent will you say that these conferences and interactions and meetings have helped to reduce this, phenomenon?
Migration by itself is neutral. When it's done legally, it can produce, greener pastures if you go legally.
Right.
What we are trying to let our people understand and bring awareness to irregular migration, for them to understand that if you do go illegally or irregular migration, you will not have it as the picture that you're looking for. We also want to speak to governments to provide legal channels to enable people to migrate legally. For instance, on this continent, many of the countries had banned legal migration, for instance, as a result of many of the outcries from the Middle East. We believe that the way forward, rather, is to have this summit is going to petition African governments to look at ILO Convention C-189, which is a convention for decent work for domestic workers, and also for C-190 to stop violence in the workplace. And these kinds of conventions will help to bring the awareness needed for our people to be able to engage and have access to legal work. There are bilateral agreements that are being signed also. And when government is involved and there are bilateral agreements and their safety nets are put in place, migration can be successful,
Right.
and it can create a positive outcome. So we want people to know. In fact, I recently wrote a book called Deadly Work or Decent Work. Deadly work is the way when you go irregular migration, you end up with deadly work. But decent work is available and possible if people would go legally, and if governments will get involved and put the proper frameworks in place to ensure the safety of the African youth, it can be successful.
That makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, getting close to the time, we'll be able to talk a bit more about it to get people to be interested so we can get the answers that we desire. Thank you very much, Dr. Okansi, for joining us. Dr. Princess Okansi, she's a migration advocate. Getting close to the time, like I said, we'll talk about it. But before we go, there has been finally some closure to the Sumpuni case. 6 suspects who beat to pulp an elderly woman after they accused her of witchcraft have all been fined 50 penalty units. Now, guess what? That amounts to 600 cedis. In default of that, they will be serving a 30-day jail term. By the way, 600 cedis for that area, and for the people involved in this could be a lot. But yeah, your thoughts and opinions, certainly welcome on that. That is a video of the woman when they beat her up. We're told that they've been asked to also pay her hospital bills, and they've been asked to also go to the village to settle the matter.